Welcome, secret agents. I hope you've been having a look in our spy manual, in the Bible, or in the book of Luke, to find out a little bit more about Jesus. So this week, if you remember, it's right at the end of Luke chapter 5 that we're looking to find out what Jesus is up to. And it's about him calling another of these disciples. So we heard a couple of weeks ago about how Jesus had called a fisherman to go and follow him and become a fisher of men. And this week, it's even a little bit more peculiar what happened when he called one of his disciples to follow him. So I've been trying to look into the background a little bit more because that helps us understand the context of the story. So the Jewish people were living in Israel at the time, but the Romans had come and taken over. They were, the Roman occupation was going across the world, and they were occupying Israel. So the Romans, although it appeared that the Jewish people had their own leaders, and they did, the Romans had the final say. Because they occupied the land. And another thing that the Romans did is they took money from the Jewish people, because that would be the money that would keep the Jewish army would keep the Roman army going, which would mean they could keep everything in order. So you can imagine the Romans weren't liked very much by the Jewish people because they had the overall control and the overall charge, although they did respect the Jews and their Jewish ways, but also they would take money and things from them. So, and then you get somebody like Levi. So of course, if the Romans wanted taxes, they needed people to collect the taxes, and they had Jewish people to collect the taxes, like Zacchaeus, like Levi. There was a whole group of them, and you can imagine the Jewish people weren't too pleased, because this was their own people working for the Romans to take the money. But not only that, went a little bit further. So if you can imagine, here's Levi collecting his taxes, and he would sit at his booth and everyone would come and give the money, and he would say how much money they needed to give. Well, it could be that they needed to give lots of money to the Romans for their taxes. But instead of saying it's 2 lots of money, Levi and the other tax collectors would go, it's 3 lots of money. And what they would then do is they would go, that's 2 for the Romans, because that's actually what the Romans asked for, and that third one he would keep for himself. So you can imagine the tax collectors became quite rich. They were quite greedy, taking this extra money, and the Jewish people generally didn't like them because they knew they were working for the Romans and taking their money. So Levi was sitting at his tax booth collecting the money, and remember, people weren't happy with it. They knew they were working for the Romans. They knew they were stealing. But up comes Jesus. And he comes to Levi and says a very strange thing. He says, Levi, leave this, come and follow me. And do you know what? He did. He left it. He left that job, he left all the money it was making him, and went to follow Jesus. And he said to Jesus, I am going to have such a party in your honour. We're going to have this huge party. And that's exactly what Levi did. So Levi had this great gathering at his house. All the tax collectors were there, and Jesus was there too. He was eating with them, as that's what they would do together, sit and eat together. But along came some of the other Jewish people, especially some of the Jewish leaders, and they looked at Jesus. Jesus, thought you were a holy man. Jesus, thought you were a leader, thought you were a rabbi, a teacher. What are you doing? These men here, well, they're all sinners. They all do wrong things. They're tax collectors. They collude with the Romans. They steal our money. What are you doing with them? Jesus answered and said, well, lots of the Jewish leaders, they think they've got it all sorted. They follow all the laws and they think they're good enough. They think they've got it all sorted. But Jesus said, I came to find the ones who knew that they do things wrong, who realise it, and who want a new beginning, who want a fresh start with me. They're the ones I came to save. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? And I wonder how we think about ourselves in the light of that. I wonder if we're a bit like the Jewish leaders and we kind of say, it's all right, thank you, we've got everything sorted, we don't need a Jesus, we don't need anyone helping us in our lives. Or I wonder if we realise that, like Levi, that actually maybe we don't do the things that Levi does in stealing and being greedy, but you know, we all have things inside that we do that we know really we shouldn't do, and we can be greedy for things like extra chocolate biscuits, so we can you know, do things like that, take an extra chocolate when we were told just to have one, and all little things like that. But actually they're things we do wrong. And I think Levi knew in his heart that he couldn't say to God, oh yes, I'm this amazing person. He could say to God, you made me this wonderful person, but I keep doing these little things wrong. And he knew that. And that's why Jesus came. So when Jesus came to Levi, I think Levi saw it and went, you know, this is what I need. I need someone to help, because I'm not perfect on my own. I can't get everything right. And I just need someone to help me through this life, make the good choices and the right decisions, someone to save me. So he responded to Jesus. So, as I say, we're perhaps a little bit like Levi. Not, we wouldn't see ourselves quite as naughty, quite as sinful as Levi. But we have those little things, don't we? And those things in our heart where we think those unkind things. And sometimes we can feel a bit bad about that. But do you know, in a way, it's good news. Because Jesus came to earth and said, but I want you to follow me. Because I don't want you to live life all on your own. I want to walk with you, says Jesus. I want to save you. I want us to have, I want to see you grow into all that God made us to be. And we can't do that on our own. That's what we do with Jesus. And agents, did you have a go at the clock cipher? Did you have a go on work out these clues that Agent Zachariah sent us about Levi? So I did mine. I'll go through what I found and see if you found the same. I really enjoyed using this clock, finding the number and finding the corresponding letter. And if it's a 00, then it's a space. I really enjoyed this. So, deciphering Agent Zachariah's code, I found out that Levi was a thief, that he was Jewish, he was bilingual. Now it turns out that he spoke Greek and Aramaic, which were sort of the languages around at that time. He could speak both, which made him really effective working for the Romans. Hated by fishermen, because of course he took the money, read scripture, so was interested in the things of God, was an outcast. So that, as we've said before, the tax collectors were pushed away by most of the other people. He was helping the Romans, he was greedy, he was intelligent, but he was selfish. And all of those things, that's what Levi was. But do you know, when he met Jesus, he changed. And to signify that change, he had a change in name. I wonder if you know what his name became. I wonder if you know. Do you want to guess? His name became Matthew. And you're right, it's the same Matthew that wrote the first book in the New Testament. Remember, we've got Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, and we're studying Luke. Well, actually, Matthew has got insider information. It was Levi, and he changed. What a change. What a change. And ultimately, he went to his death for Jesus. What a change. So I wonder, a bit of a challenge. I'm going to have a think. What did Matthew, how did he change? How did he change when he got to know Jesus? Maybe you can think of some words and you can have a go with this clock cipher and make your own messages and work out. Let me have a think. I'm going to start by doing Matthew. So I'm going to use my clock cipher. So how did he change? He changed to Matthew. So I'm going to write it on here. How did Levi change? Okay, and then we're going to put on here, right, let's have a look. To write Matthew, it's going to be 12 dot dot, where's the A? Well, that's in the middle, isn't it? AM dot dot T, 19 dot dot, 19 dot dot, H, 7 dot dot, E, D dot dot, W, 22. So here we go. How did Levi change? And the first one I've put is Matthew. He changed his name to Matthew. How else do you think he changed? So here's your challenge. Have a think, maybe even read a little bit more in the book of Luke or in the book of Matthew, and find out what he was like. So he became a follower of Jesus, didn't he? A disciple. And have a think about how you believe Matthew changed, and see if you can use the codes to write some of your own. And then see if there's somebody else in your house, or email them to me, Q, at sleason@sjbchurch.co.uk. Nearly forgot then. And we'll have a go, see if we can decipher your codes. So have a go with your own codes this week, secret agents, and I shall see you next week. Bye for now.